I hope each and every one of you that are watching now during the live or after the live's been posted are having a blessed and safe weekend so far. Spending some time with family as I'm going to go over to my dad's house for the Michigan game at 3:30 today. So I'm happy to be able to go over there. It's my sister's, it's my sister's 38th birthday today as well. So Rachel, if you are watching, happy birthday, and I'll see you later. Um, But it's an interesting start to the weekend as XRP's a little bit below $3, but nothing major at a moment. Earlier this morning, not too long ago when I was setting up this live, in fact, XRP did slip below 298, but it's since recovered. We've had a big sell-off so far since the initial push up from the rate cut. So now, I mean, we're back testing in the hourly. You would think we would back test these further movements because we had such a harsh drop to start. We're oversold in the 4 hourly, but I mean, that can still go either way. It could drag down here or it could have a significant reversal here. So I'm interested to see how this plays out here on this thinly traded weekend. Just understand when you're watching this on the weekend that we do have the Chicago Mercantile Exchanges closed on the weekend after Friday evening trading session. So generally, by the time we get to Monday morning, the price will end up close to where it was Friday, despite a lot of volatility over the weekend. So that's always something to consider if you're new in cryptocurrency going into a weekend. You always want to remember that caveat, we'll say, when it comes to the weekend trading. And the fact that you can get caught up there. I know a lot of people get caught up trading on the weekends, and then by the time it comes back to Monday morning, they're like, what happened? We just had a big move up and now it came all the way back down, or we just had a big drop and now we're right back to where we started. So it's an interesting dynamic on the weekend, but I want to go over XRP. I want to look at some of the news and notes as well. We'll take a look at where we will most likely go. We'll take a look at the scenarios where some of our support structures that maybe we can bounce off of if we come down and get a little distribution from some buyers, at least. Not in the sense of a wick off, but just some volume being distributed in these areas. Or even some demand, because we could use a volume spike heading out of this weekend. Friday, I know a lot of people were clamoring to get into XRP because of the ETF and things like that, and expecting it to go up on just the initial launch, just to see it end up down 10%. Well, not quite 10%, about 7.5% at its peak. But that's traditional. If you remember Bitcoin and Ethereum, when they first announced their exchange-traded funds, their ETFs, each of them dropped by more than 50% initially. Like Ethereum dropped all the way down to it was like 1700 Bitcoin had dropped this pretty significant margin. But then over time, money is the driving force. And there will come a time when XRP is going to push past all of this. There's going to come a time when these altcoins finally do what they need to do. We're getting closer. We're for sure getting closer to that happening. I seen somebody put LAES. It's funny because this keeps ending up off my chart. You guys watched me put this on in the last live too. I don't know why it keeps ending off. But yeah, I noticed it had a big move after we talked about it on Friday. Or Thursday, I mean. So that's just, anybody who got into that, you definitely got into that. I did not get in. Begrudgingly, actually. Like I was saying, I was focusing so much on the mining stocks that I kind of overlooked it, even though it came all the way down into a fantastic area. Now it could be too late. Now it might be breaking out into the next tier. This is what we were talking about on Thursday. It might, if it breaks past here, now you look for the back test if it straggles back down. But it actually hit this 250 area and it held. Looking back on it, I wish I would have put more thought into it. But I was so focused on the mining stocks. Rightfully so, which I'm not saying I'm not going to buy this. I think this is a longer term play. I'm going to see what ends up happening here. Now that a significant playthrough. But we'll look at it on Monday and see how it carries over and see what happens with that. That's a semiconductor and so many other that when you get into quantum computing and things like that, that's like a tier you're going to have to go down if you have the fortitude to start looking down that kind of stuff, because that's kind of like that's one of those that it's a nice play into what we're coming into. Just, it's a nice play to what we're coming into. But yeah, good morning to everybody. Let me do the intro and I'll say hi to some of you as well. And then we'll get started here. If you want to copy trade with me on WEEX, this is very important, because I'm going to be doing it at some point here for IOTA, because I have to get it on WEEX and it's available in the USA. So I figured, why not let people copy the trade if they want to be in IOTA with me, unless the USA goes away on WEEX. But that's not the case right now. There's a link in the video description below and or pinned comments of this very live in the chat. You can look up and it says WEEX at the top. Follow through that link. And then if you go into copy trading, type in TSPICA 222. So it's TSPICA 222, and that's how you find me. I changed it up a little bit because a lot of the people who splice my accounts, they just use XRP Future Millionaire. So I used a slightly different tactic. So you're not going to use a link. You're going to end up typing that name in, and then you can follow the copy trade for IOTA. Nobody's following yet. There is absolutely nobody following. I've talked about it, but I haven't given out that, to do it. So nobody's been able to find it, I'm imagining. So yeah, for future, for IOTA, right now I have enough in there for 20,000 tokens. I don't know how much more I'm going to put in, but the minimum I'll buy is at least 20,000 tokens. So, that's going to be the plan in there at least. So if you want to follow that, you're more than welcome. I'm going to talk about that more in the Telegram. So if you want to be a little deeper into the community, make sure you join Tom's Army, get the exclusive Telegram, and we can talk deeper in there. You'll be able to see further steps. I posted it in the Telegram today as well, just about how you can do this. I posted what it looks like, and that's the name you would have to type in. So if you're interested in that, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only, but if you're looking to tag along with IOTA, you're more than welcome, but obviously you don't have to. But with that being said, let me say hi to just a couple of you. McMichael, good morning, along with Crypto Cooter. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. I greatly appreciate you both. And Crypto Cooter, thanks for being a very trusted mod and here in the Telegram, along with Devin. And Devin, thanks for being in here for your over 2 years now with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Casper gets a new listing on September 25th. Very interesting dynamic there. That should help bring a little bit of volume in there finally. Sir Smokeslot, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months as well with the XRP Predictor. Shane, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Michael, good morning, and thank you for also being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. LMVP, good morning. Tim, James, welcome in, and thanks for tuning in as always. Hope you're having blessed Saturdays. Joseph Euler in the Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, or over 1 year. Well, 6 months for Joseph in the Cannabis Podcast. Thank you both so much. CJ2 Pilot, George Athanasov, and UK Phil, thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. Lori Watson, welcome in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Arelli, good morning. And Florida Attorney, thank you for tuning in. I know there's college football on, so this isn't the greatest time to do a live, but I figured I could have come on here and did an update for 20 minutes, or I could come on here and do a live for 45 or 30, or as long as we decide to stay on here. Crypto Cooter says, I've slowly been dollar cost averaging into IOTA and WEEX. Excellent. Their pricing's not bad, is it? I was very happy with the fee ratio, the fee ratio when you're buying and selling. Mark Caston, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So Bad. And Screech, yeah. H-Bar has a nice inverse head and shoulders set here. At some point, these prices aren't going to be this cheap. The only question is do we power out of here now and just break out towards that 30 cent and ultimately up towards this 35? And then farther. There's a lot farther to go up here. It's just this 35 area is this resistance. Obviously, with the pattern, it suggests the apex is not all the way out until here, but I don't think it's going to take that long. that just gives you an understanding of if it wants to, it could take forever. You know, kind of like how XRP was. Did you, I don't know, Don, if WEEX will be any different with IOTA in California, but I do know somebody in Vegas who wasn't able to buy IOTA, no matter where we were doing it, was for whatever reason, I believe they were able to buy it on WEEX, unless that somebody debunked that. I don't know, because I don't live in Vegas. But yeah, it's kind of hard in certain areas here in the USA. But let's do a little bit of XRP here. Good morning. 11:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, September 20th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan, Louisville. Welcome in, and happy Saturday to you as well, my friend. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the over 3 years. My mistake. I apologize. With the XRP Diamond Hand Badge. Beautiful. Unbelievable. Unbelievable support. Make sure to hit that like button. It does help get this pushed around. I guarantee you, if more of you hit the like button, we'll get over 100 people watching this. Right now, there's hardly anybody in here, but doesn't get pushed around very often. But if you hit that like button for me, I promise they will be forced to push this around the algorithm. So with XRP right now, that $3.06 remains a major pivot point, not just for now in the pattern, but past parts of the pattern where it's either it's been above that and it ended up having nice pushes up to 330, or being below that and it ends up pushing back down. And in recent memory, it keeps coming back down to that 280, 285, 298, somewhere in between there. Now, the other thing we worry about is if XRP does continue pulling down here, and in the daily, we're engulfing to the downside. It made a new low. So, you know, we have to acknowledge that. In the stochastic, we broke bearish. We hit the trend line, and unfortunately got rejected, and we put in, and I was talking about before, I thought maybe this could be a head and shoulders put in. We're just kind of come up and confirm the right shoulder. And if that's the case, we'll come down into this oversold area very quickly, which that can either do one of two things here. One, it's going to bring us down to this back test at 272 if you look at the pattern like this, but I would like you to expand your mind a little bit. Look at this uptrend as well. So we have this uptrend that formed out of this pattern formation, and that's at 286. Now, if it came down to $2.86, I'm just wondering with the audience, do you think that would be enough to clear out the stochastic and allow more buyers? Do you think 285 would be a sound area? Or do you think more people would prefer it to be down at 272 to buy? Or do you think there's going to be a majority that just tries to wait this out and say, well, if it breaks down this and can't hold, we may have a revisit down around $1.08? Like, that's what I want to know. I want to know what the public consensus is in the audience. What do you think is happening right now? Now, I'm going to try to make it a more involved back and forth because, you know, I want to become a very close, tight-knit community, and I want it to start pulling like this, because what ends up happening when we're in high levels of consolidation, or when people, or the general consensus is against thinking that crypto is going to do anything, because every time they get on, it just goes down. It starts to thin the herd a little bit, and then this is where we can get a tighter bond, and then we can encourage the newer members that come in, not even members, but the newer viewers, that it is a long journey, but it's worth it if you understand the journey. So make sure to hit that like button. 41 of you out of 78 have hit the like button now. Once 11 of you hit that like button, it allowed 30 more people to get in here, because more of you hit the like button, YouTube finds more of a way to push it out, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Anyhow, let's continue here. So, is it going to be better off coming down to that 272 area? Or is that 286 uptrend going to hold if we did continue to reverse down? And we look at it more because that's the uptrend in the area. And I think that would make more sense coming through there. Obviously, if it comes down, we know the ramifications. And then let's say $1.78 didn't hold. We can even look at it more into the future as well and say, well, maybe if we overextend this out, maybe $1.38 which is interesting as well, that area, because that extends down from that FVG at $1.50, which the top end was like $1.62. So yeah, some technically can say we cleared that out, but I still look at that $1.50 area. If we were to ever come down below, you know, certain setup, and we would have to come below this whole $1.77. But I always look at what is possible. What is possible? Yes, this particular chart isn't my most popular one because people look at it and they leave and say, what do you mean it could come all the way down there? It's not, I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just saying that it is a distinct possibility if, in fact, we had a continuation down. And yeah, these are the interesting times because a lot of people are crying for 10, 15, 30, 50, 100, $1,000 imminently, as I'm sitting here saying, let's be cautious. And we've seen this before, and let's not count our, you know, let's not, you know, let's just not count our blessings before they happen in this next push. So I like to keep all ends open, but people don't like that. People don't like when I talk like that. But I'd like to talk about what's actually happening in the chart setup. So it is relevant. I promise this is all relevant. And seeing that we do have an engulfing candle right now, we've got to at least acknowledge that, you know, it was a little bit of a downturn to start. And 4 hourly's on the 200-day support. So if this plays down, you know, it could get ugly. Now we need to play up here. Now what you're looking for is a retake of $3.06 for XRP. And this isn't the micro. Obviously the micro is the micro. And, you know, from a macro perspective, we're still fine. It's just the micro. I like to see the micro. Oh, Screech, I'm telling you. It's hard for me because when I show these numbers, people don't want to stay. And I understand, like, if you hold an asset and you're just a general holder and you're not really looking more for the technicals, you're going through being like, oh, somebody's talking about XRP. And then if I'm not talking the 100% guarantee going up, people are like, oh, no, I don't want to see the negative. But it's not negative. It's just understanding, like, there could be opportunity here in this consolidation. And then when we look at it a little deeper, we got Bitcoin at 116,180. It's not come below this little area, which is good. This is good because this is like the uptrend of when you look at the rising wedge, when there was a resistance formed, getting above 114,778 and holding is a very big step for Bitcoin. Because then it could, in theory, and if we play it out now, because it's going to keep changing, like I've said. But if you're new, you don't know, because this is your first time seeing this. 123,000 is that area where we would want to push past above. And then you would end up getting a push above what was a perceived rising wedge. And that resistance is still resistance. It's just overextended now. But, you know, that's very possible, too. That's very possible. And the 4 hourly Bitcoin was oversold. And, you know, it's interesting to watch because Bitcoin has formed, as we've talked about the last several days, if you've been in here, a very sneaky inverse head and shoulders here with a back test, a volatile one at that, on that rising wedge resistance as support, or, well, former resistance that it was trying to make support. Now it's acting as a support with the lateral support as a resistance, which is interesting. I call them the inside-out wedge that it creates. Because when you overextend, now it starts to create an inside-out wedge, and you can start to follow it, but it does. It'll create these inside-out wedges, and then over time you will end up having to overtake it, and then you can start forming like a wedge in between. It's really weird how it works. But it does start to happen. You know, it really does start to happen. So that's what we're looking at with Bitcoin. You know, trying to see if this does play out. That could give us some volatility to the upside still here for XRP if this happens. If that happens for Bitcoin, and then we say Ethereum, because it still didn't lose this uptrend, which is very important. It's this channel we formed, and now that we've come outside of what could have been a falling channel, what supersedes now is this bigger channel, and it bounced again off of here. So now the support is 4,438. We could very well get a volatile spike because if this was some kind of wedge that formed and it artificially broke down, you could get, even if it wanted to come all the way back down, it could be another scenario like Bitcoin where it overextends out and this pattern is just overextended and it just ends up playing out into a slightly different pattern. Like it ends up playing out more like into a channel here. You know, instead of being a rising wedge, that was the early look. But then it ends up playing out deeper, and you end up getting more of a channel when you look at it from a deeper perspective. And we just didn't have the evidence before. And if that's the case, we're getting ready into November, October. We're getting ready for some kind of parabolic spike here if that's the case. We want this to be the case. This is why I keep saying this could be a very opportune moment here where it doesn't need to come all the way down. Because the way even that Ethereum set this up, we cleared ourselves out in the 4-hourly to where we could have some kind of volatility here. Yes, the daily, it's cleared itself out a lot now. I feel a lot better about the daily today than I did on September 13th or September 6th for Ethereum. No, listen. Can Ethereum get to 10,000? You better believe it. But is it going to be by the end of the year? Absolutely, positively not. If it gets to 10,000 by the end of the year, I mean, I guess not positively not, but it's more likely in Q1 into Q2 of 26 to hit that number if it was going to. Just because of the way things play out for tax harvesting and things like that, it's going to be extremely difficult, especially from a monthly perspective, to push up into that range that quickly. It's not unheard of. What does the chart speak to? Well, the chart to me speaks to a top end potential in this cycle right now, unless it proves otherwise, isn't even 10,000. It's 7,841 until we get proven otherwise. With the other range of 6,543 from where we broke out if we don't further drop down. So, what I want to see out of Ethereum is close to what Screech is saying. I want to see 5,100. What was this? 5,000. 5,100 roughly, I want to see. Because then it gets us enough out of here. Yeah, it gives us enough space out of this range of consolidation back into a discovery area, so to say. After this ridiculously long consolidation, it can get us back into discovery with room to spare nonetheless. And then we can start maybe pushing out. The only thing that I keep wondering, and this is why I keep saying how important this area is. You see how there hasn't been no real volatile backtest of Ethereum on a many year pattern that went all the way back to November of 21. We haven't had that substantial backtest. So I would not be surprised, if they did something like that. So that's what I keep watching just in case. So yeah, in the micro, the pattern looks different, but it always fills into a macro. So the micro would be all of this, right? Our micro would be all of this. The macro perspective of Ethereum would be all of this. That whole thing is our macro. And it broke out from a macro. The only question is, from a micro, does it backtest the macro move? Which, honestly, it usually does. So, that's what we're waiting. No, this chart did exactly what XRP did. It predicted the forward moves. It predicted the forward moves. Now, whoops. This is off a little bit. I don't know why it did that, but it was set up like that. You can even look at it a little different. You can say, well, maybe it just fell off. Whoops, here, let me get rid of it. Maybe it just fell off. And then the chart was actually more like... Because you can look at this many different ways. You can say, it was like this and we had a substantial... See how, and this is the other way of looking at this chart. This is... Okay, we substantially fell off, and all we did here was create a big inverse head and shoulders. Inverse right shoulder on support, inverse left shoulder on support, inverse head came through. And honestly, I love looking at it this way. It doesn't change your overall target, but it changes the dynamic of why it was such a volatile move. It changes the dynamic, so I hope that makes sense. And you guys blessing me with 56 likes has allowed almost 90 people to get in here now. By hitting double the likes, it allowed another 30 people to find their way in here. So if you are watching, make sure to hit that like button, because YouTube puts a lot of stock into the likes so that they push us through the algorithm. And I think not just my information, but all the information you guys give out in chat, it's very helpful. And I think newcomers would be very appreciative. Mark Caston, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So Badge and a $2 donation. I love it. Thank you for the YouTube super chat. I haven't got one in a couple days. I love seeing the pay it forward mentality. You're very, very strong in the pay it forward mentality. Seriously, because you're already in Tom's Army. I really appreciate that. Thank you, friend. Yeah, George, that's true. A lot, and yeah, everybody, like, what I used to tell everybody is if you were afraid of buying like XRP and all these other alt tokens, and you just wanted to be in one of the bigger tokens and be safe, I used to tell everybody instead of buying Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, especially when it was doing these lower consolidations. If you didn't want to buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. And I used to tell them this in 21. Look at it in early 25. This is a blunder by not just myself, but by anybody who was looking at it. Like I was telling everybody all the way through here, I just don't like Ethereum. I did ride it in some leverage trades, but then I stopped doing that because I didn't want to push the wrong narrative. Too many people were starting to lose money in the wrong ways. But I used to tell everybody, instead of buying Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum because at least it's got a different progressive function. But I still wouldn't buy Ethereum. Like, I was very bold. I would say if I was buying Ethereum, there's a few that come to mind that I would buy instead. For sure. A few of you have said it, Sue. That is one that if you were going to buy Ethereum, and now obviously looking at the chart of Sue, it's at $3 and something cents the last I seen, maybe around the 390 area if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at it in a minute, but I think it was around that area. Not bad. Okay, so it had a little bit of a drop off. But this is one I would pay attention to. I think this is one I would pay attention to, but I don't know how much of a fall off it's going to happen at this point. I do have reason to be hopeful that maybe it could have another drop off. But when you start to look at the uptrend, it gives you a little hope for a small fall off, but not anything substantial, especially from a charting perspective like this. It doesn't look like there's any substantial, but you know, when you look at it a couple of different ways, and I'm going to show you because there's a rising channel that you can also look at this. So you can look at it as an ascending, I don't know, is that an ascending triangle? I don't think that's necessarily a rising wedge because it's ascending price action. Or would you be more comfortable looking at it as a rising wedge? I mean, rising channel. Because you could look at it both ways. I mean, I wouldn't kill anybody for doing this. More like this, though, I would say, if you want to get the truth of what it's trying to show us. So, you know, you're running out of opportunities. It's an interesting one because not too long ago, I remember when it was lower pricing. I remember the breakout, but I feel like there was a better chart we could look at this on. Ah, there it is. Is this the better one? That's 20. It might be one of those. I don't think the one I had up was also different. Yeah, see, we used to look at this all the way back on the MACD chart. It absolutely stayed above that area. Now, that was always going to be that. It was actually, oh, I guess we did decide it there, but it's actually a little bit lower, like 219. But it did end up bouncing. I mean, it's interesting where it's at now. There's no doubt about that because it's come up so much from where it was at the bottom. I don't mind watching it, though. But once it breaks out of here, I mean, you're going to get a lot of significant price action. But yeah, anybody who likes that token, I would definitely... back in the day, I can understand. Lori, does it cost anything to be in... Oh, if you want to be in Tom's Army, yeah, that's a pay it forward thing because I've never done any like paid sponsorships or charged for my content. I decided to do it a different way. I do it the pay it forward mentality. So if you want to be in Tom's Army, unfortunately, the month of September, we've lost 14 members of Tom's Army. So that kind of is, that's something. But, you know, it is what it is. I just come in here every day and hopefully we can expand what we already have. So, but if you are in Tom's Army, get the exclusive Telegram. I prefer for you to be in Tom's Army to be in the Telegram because we've had people scamming people through YouTube, and then they try to find their way through the Telegrams and the YouTube comments and things like that. So we have layers of security. So please, I'm never going to send you a message. You better message it. You would have to message me, and you would know it's me. People try to steal my stuff all the time. Anybody else who's in the public light, people try to steal. So, yeah, Monday should be fun with the new moon. Absolutely. So we looked at Ethereum as well. So you see the way the price action could possibly move. So it's more than just, hey, we can do this and that, X, Y, and Z, because there's a lot to this. The Bitcoin dominance is starting to leak towards an area that's very beneficial to us. It basically fell out to this entire drop to 56.55. It came to 57. Am I going to kill it over 0.75%? No. If we turn on the stochastic and the moving average convergence divergence, which for some reason the oh, well, it's because it's on dominance. It very well, I mean, that's a death cross there. If it gets rejected here on the 20, and the death cross is just defined with the exponential moving average as a 20 cross through the 200, which makes it a short-term pattern reversal. Now the 50 and the 100 came through, which is confirming that the momentum is flipping right now. In a daily perspective, nonetheless. Weekly is massively oversold, though, and that's something to keep an eye on. It fell outside the channel. We really need it to fall below 54.75. And that could start another layer of unbelievable movement to the upside. Man, I still can't believe there's 84 of you watching. Like, talk about a blessing. On a college football Saturday, with college game day, Fox Saturday game, all this other stuff, a lot of people's attention are on that. You know, I used to watch all of it, too, in the morning, but ever since Pat McAfee joined college football, the live in the morning, I don't like it anymore. I like seeing some of the people on there, like, obviously Desmond Howard's on there, but I don't know, he sold himself out. He was so awesome on YouTube before he did all this stuff, and then I just see people sell themselves out so easily for the money, and then they just end up everywhere. Somebody goes from just being nowhere to everywhere. It's usually an indicator, but it's ruined the show. I kind of like the Fox show better with Urban Meyer and Charles Woodson and the likes of them. But yeah, we've got against Nebraska today. Big game for us today. Big game for us today on the road. If we have any hopes of winning the Big Ten or competing for the playoff spot, we can lose another game in the Big Ten, just not the Nebraska. You got to start running through some of the schedule and show some balls on the road. We're 1-5 under Sharon Moore on the road in the Big Ten, even though he's not coaching today because he's suspended for his second of 2 games. But yeah. But Lori, there are exceptions to the rule. So if you wanted to be in the Telegram, you would have my permission to go. You just have to send me a message at strutregali@gmail.com. You know, there's an exception to the rule of people having to be in Tom's Army. There's just some good-spirited people that can help influence that community. Anyhow. Catholic faith, welcome in. And don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Yahweh, Yeshua, God himself, on this most holy of days on Saturday. I know it's a big misconception on Sunday, which is still a holy day, but it's meant for other reasons. Saturday is the true holy divine and divinity you'll feel. Doesn't mean you have to go into a church. Just pray for your fellow humans, show humility, show grace, and give understanding that there's something greater than ourselves. And we can help encompass each and every one of us, all of us. It means a lot to me to have all of you. Sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle. If it's like a distant feeling, it's only because my son started school for the first time and he's special needs. As far as a full day of school, and he's nonverbal, but he's been doing very well, and he gets fed through a G-tube, so it makes it a little difficult. But you know, I feel like we have a very close-knit community, and I feel like we do a lot of good here. And I do appreciate all of you. I really do. Yeah, Lori, here. Send me an email here and just tell me who you are. I'll know if you're lying or not, but just tell me it's from you, and I will make sure you're in there personally. And if you guys are interested in copy trading, please, please, please go to WEEX, click on the link in here, and go to Go to the copy trade and type in tspeaka222. It is absolutely vital if you want to follow it. You do it soon because I'm going to be doing it whether with anybody or on my own. I don't even know if it's letting people follow. That's why I was hoping somebody would try. Because I don't know if it's even letting anybody follow. So, if anybody does, it'll be great if I have some of you in there. If not, I will do it myself and I will just keep adding IOTA because either way I'm going to have IOTA. So, let's see. And then, yeah, I'll look at that, Lori. How long have we been on? 35 minutes. So we're not done yet. I just wanted to make sure to do this. But yeah, I want to do some of this stuff a little closer. And WEEX doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It seems to be good with the USA. I've had great success. I've even done a few futures, not for any profit or losses. I just wanted to see the fees. Pennies on the dollar. The spot was barely any fees. It was like BitUnix. I still encourage BitUnix. It's just, if you were on there like me, I just decided to take some money off of BitUnix, and now I'm just putting it on WEEX because I know that they at least don't have a condition within their terms of services where they can just basically freeze my money or whatever. I still love BitUnix. It used to be my A1, but WEEX is essentially the exact same thing. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I don't remember who told me in the audience, but it is certainly a blessing. Yeah, Mark, let me know what it does. And Lori, I look forward to that message. I'll look at my dad's house even this afternoon because I would love to see you in there. You'll see me talking more. I was taking an observant role, but I started talking more in the Telegram, doing more of the daily pager, which is going to increase over the days a lot. Yeah, it's tspeaka222 if you're looking for me on the WEEX, is what it ends up being. But for some reason, I feel like it might not be coming up. I don't know. Let me search myself. I don't even know if it's coming up. Hey, Mr. Wimbush, welcome in. And thanks for being in Tom Zone for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. I really, really appreciate your continued support. Yeah, that's what I put in. I know. Nobody everybody would look XRP Future Millionaire. Maybe I should change it. But yeah, tspeaka222 like this.
Tspeaka. Hey, that's an original.
Yes, it is, Julie.
The OG.
Unless I just change it to something else. But that's my name on there. Oh, thank you for the donation, Joseph Euler. Thanks for being in Tom's Arm for over 6 months plus with the XRP Predictor. And thank you for also the $20 donation. That is incredibly generous, like super generous. Thank you for your technical analysis. God bless you, Tom, and our community. Yes, God bless this community. Indeed. Indeed. I'm gonna have to guess that it's not coming up. Because I don't see it coming up when I try to type it either, so I'm not sure. Well, that would be the reason why nobody can follow it. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. What is going on here? I can't find it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I am not sure why. I'm looking right now to try to figure out, because this is set up a lot different than the other copy trading. It's not. It doesn't give you a whole big setup like on the other one. Man, this sucks. Like I've been waiting to even add into this position because I want to copy trade with the community for IOTA, and I love IOTA. And unless they said, hey, you know, we're not in the USA anymore, I'd be using this. Um, I don't know. I'm actually perplexed a little bit. Let's see if it. I wonder if it uses my other name. Let me see. I'm going to try one more thing. Thank you for your patience, everybody, and helping me with this, to tell me what you're seeing. Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly. This is interesting. Because it allows me to do an elite trade, which would make you think that they accepted it as an elite trader.
Somebody might go
Oh, wait a minute. I wonder if... yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because I have all the money in there, so I would be able to trade. Yeah, this is interesting. It's not... I don't think it's letting me.
access to.
Preferences. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to try to figure it out, guys. For some reason, it's not working. That definitely is an issue. That is definitely an issue. I guess I'll try to ask support. So I'm gonna send them a message and see what ends up happening. It's gonna. I'm not buying anything yet. I'm trying to So your futures account. Go to the trade history. Alright. And it actually goes to a person pretty quick. I'm sorry, I know. I was gonna end it, but I wanted to go through some of these steps with everybody. And I wish it would have worked. But I mean, at least we have time. At least I know it doesn't work right now, so I have time to try to fix this before I actually do something. Yeah. So, well, I'll try to figure this out, and if I can get it to work, I'll let everybody know. It says you must complete a elite trade with more than $500 in account open to close to show up in the... Oh, so I have to open up a trade first. Okay, I'll try a trade real quick. Now, I suppose I could just close it or just keep it in there. I don't know. Let me try. That makes sense. Copy trade, elite trade, IOTA, 1x, $500. I'll do 550 just to make it happy. Let's do it based on US dollar. 550. Open long. Now, what was the fee? Always interested to see what the fee is. Alright, so now I go into trade, search. So trades. That doesn't even say there's a trade open. Well, that's interesting because I did it through the elite trade. It did not open it as an elite trade. Did I put it on position? Elite trade, it should have opened already. Yeah, something's not adding up here, that's for sure. Something is not adding up here, my friends. Oh, I should probably close it just to see. Yeah, and the fee was 58 cents when I closed it. At least I can see the fee. $1.16. It was a total fee of $1.16 between the open and close on the trade. Yeah, maybe it's gonna take a little more work in this on this one. You know, maybe I'm gonna have to try to figure it out a little bit deeper. And then you know, we'll keep each other updated. I'll keep you guys updated, I promise. Yeah, because something's wrong. There's no doubt about that. Something's not working right. But I'll look at this deeper. I'll let you guys go. Thank you all so much. Have a blessed day. Make sure you watch XRP on this conversion here. If it ends up coming down any farther, yes, it could head down towards that 272. But remember, there's that stop in between on the uptrend, which makes a lot of sense at that 285, 286 area. Unless we break below that 286, there's not a lot to worry about here. But if we do break below that, we can get some